It's a very simple equation here. They control by controlling the information that people receive. If we are going to, and we are in the process of dismantling this, then alternative information that tells the truth about the movie and exposes it needs to get out there. Now, everyone has got a mouth. Everyone. And everyone's got a voice box, or virtually everyone. And therefore we can articulate and pass this on. And so, it's ridiculous to say there's nothing we can do. We can get onto radio phone-ins on radio shows that don't talk about this and bring those issues into the debate. I think they've realized that there is a challenge coming here, and people are, in increasingly vast numbers, are so open to this. I'll tell you what it is. This is why it's so important to communicate this stuff. Is the number of people who come across this information that didn't know it existed, and they go, "Do you know, I've thought that was going on. I've always thought that," but they haven't talked about it. And then they realise that their friends thought like that too, but they haven't talked about it either. We need to start communicating this, and then we'll realise just how many people out there are actually of like mind, but because they haven't spoken to each other.
You wouldn't believe the people I run into. They are out there now saying, "We love Bush, he's our hero." I ran into a bunch of them yesterday, and they just cannot see through they love Bush and he's our hero. It's turned around from hating Clinton to loving Bush now.
Right. Well, you see,
how is that? I mean, how is
well, how it works is this, and I've got to be honest here. I mean, that's all I can be. There is a part of the mentality of quite a lot of Americans, I find, that can be activated by what I call the John Wayne mentality. John Wayne was a kind of a symbol of how they wanted to be. The cavalry coming over the horizon, and here's John, big, go get him, John. Okay, to hell I will. More and more Americans are rejecting that simplistic, ludicrous vision of life. But of course, there's still large numbers who do see it like that. And the people that do, Bush would be a hero. Because he even walks like John Wayne, doesn't he? He gets off that bloody helicopter, walks across the lawn. I was thinking, looks like he needs the bathroom. I was a bit late that he walks down here. I always get that feeling, Did you miss the bathroom, Jordan? Probably,
Doesn't freedom start here in America? Because we're now seeing on our streets, and we have video of this, of police wearing black ski masks, no name tags, combat boots, ninja suits. Y'all are not supposed to be wearing black ski masks. You're not supposed to be covering your identity. This is for the record. What is your name for the record, sir? You're covering your identity like a criminal. You are not supposed to be covering your... I'm sure they are. Right there. Where? Oh. I gotta get that. Oh, that is perfect. Does freedom start with America, or are we trying to get everybody else free? How does that work?
I think America was set up to be a vehicle for this agenda to manifest globally. And ironically, while Bush is articulating about, as you point out, freeing other countries and liberating other countries, while this is going on, the liberation of America is being destroyed by the day.
I agree with you.
Now, I am suspect of any country which has to tell its people over and over again, this is the land of the free. If it was the land of the free, it should be patently obvious. Yeah. People are going to realize more and more as this fascist state closes in, this police state closes in, more and more people are going to be affected directly by its imposition. And it's going to have the ironic effect of waking more and more people up to this. And I think that's already happening, you know. Okay, but what is it? Problem, reaction, solution. Hey, they've got to do this to save us from the terrorists. No, if you want to be saved from the terrorists, go and knock on the door of the White House and tell them to stop, you know. We are in a situation now, a fork in the road, where we do have the choice of going one way and bringing true freedom to our experience, or going the other way. Not very long down that road, we're going to live in a global fascist state, absolutely certain, because that's the agenda and it's unfolding in front of our eyes. When you look at the symbolism of the Illuminati and their obsession with symbolism, the fact that it was called the Columbia, it can be very significant, because just very quickly, talking about the symbolism, back in Babylon, they worshipped a trinity of Nimrod, the father, Ninos Tammuz, the son, and the third point of the Babylonian trinity was a female called Queen Semiramis. They used to symbolize Queen Semiramis as a dove. When they moved their headquarters from Babylon to Rome, they used to worship Queen Semiramis there under the name Venus the dove. Venus the dove was, pronounced Venus Columba. Columba meaning dove. The French for dove even today is Columba. So when a guy called Colon crossed the Atlantic to discover the Americas, history has called him Columba, Semiramis. And when you look at the way that the Babylonians symbolize Queen Semiramis, it is a mirror of the Statue of Liberty. When you look at the background to these kids who go crazy with guns, like in Columbine, Columbia, Semiramis, it's all symbolism. If they're unarmed, or as much unarmed as you can, clearly they are going to be a lot less trouble when you go in with your literally army to take over than they are otherwise. What they want, ideally, is children before the age of 5 and 6, because then